Have you ever had an issue with people saying like your stuff reminds me of blah 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 blah?
Yes, whether they saw it in some shop or their sister's granddaughter's niece's cat makes similar pieces.
How do you feel when that happens?
Usually I feel like
Bite-sized Rafi and Clee. The same awesome flavor in a smaller package. And always filler free. May contain peanut gallery.
Hola, you amazing artist, and welcome to the studio where we are going to talk about when people are like, I can't make that face.
Which basically translates to, oh, this art of yours looks like so-and-so's art, and you're like, whoo! Okay, so our question comes from Kate and Sarah, who watch our YouTube channel.
Aww.
And they say, Dear Rafi and Clee, my daughter and I have discovered your videos and have enjoyed them greatly. We discuss them and look for all the lessons you and Clee give as you make your journey through the active world of arting and making a living at it.
Yeah, Clee arts a lot in the studio.
Yes.
All the time.
When we encounter a situation we've not dealt with before, we immediately speak the magic words, "This is a Rafi moment."
Aww.
That would make a great t-shirt.
This is a Rafi moment.
And search out the video that covers that particular incident. You two are very inspirational, and many a time your insights have lifted our spirits and helped us move forward. That's awesome.
This is sweet. That's gonna make me cry.
I know, right? Today was such a day. However, I could not find a video that covered the dreaded, oh, you copied or made it look like this game, or fill in the appropriate genre, art style. If you have a ramble on getting your work compared with another artist or another style, could you point it out, please? If you haven't got a ramble on that particular subject matter, might you and Clee consider making such a ramble and give some pointers on how to deal with them? Kate and Sarah, thanks the tons, and always be the classy.
Aw. Thank you for that question, Kate and Sarah. That is a very good question.
Yeah, I'd like to start off by a public service announcement. Art collectors and art purchasers, artists typically don't like being compared to other artists.
Yeah, and that doesn't only go to art collectors and art purchasers. It goes to other artists as well.
Indeed.
Because there are a lot of other artists out there that love to use that as a way of discouraging somebody that they might feel threatened by.
Yes, that's true. And sometimes, bless their hearts, they genuinely mean it as a compliment, comparing you to something else that they like.
Yeah.
And I try to keep that on mind before I go all full on.
For example, like my dad will come in and he'll basically everything needs to look like something that somebody else did, or it needs to look like someone. Like, I can't tell you how many times he's come in and he'll point at one of my paintings and be like, that looks like your ex-wife. I'm like, what? Why would I?
Yeah, your dad doesn't really understand art unless it's horses or nudes.
Yeah. Dad finally started to think that my art was good because he saw that I created some nudes. But even still, he always had some comment.
Last time he was here, he was like, oh, you're still doing those weird paintings that look like nothing.
Yeah, he's talking about my abstracts. Weird painting that looks like nothing.
Yeah, thanks,
It's a pretty
Dad.
accurate depiction, though.
I think that's actually what you should call them from now on.
Yeah, my abstract series is no longer going to be an abstract series. It's going to be weird paintings about nothing.
In the spirit of trying to respond in a way that's authentic and yet not, I usually say something like, thank you, I like to put my own signature spin on things that inspire me.
Yeah.
It gets the point across that it is mine. There is a cleanness to all of my work, but yes, I am inspired by the things I see in the world.
There's really nothing that new under the sun. Everything is either a collection of other things that were inspiring to the person that created them, but you could pretty much go back through history and find the inspirations for a lot of great movies, a lot of great books,
music,
a lot of great music, a lot of great art. I mean, it gets inspired by something that came before it, spanning all the way back to cave paintings.
As a matter of fact, that was common practice in the days of the old masters. I mean, basically you spent half of your artistic career copying the work of masters until you got your footing and found your own voice.
So the most important thing here, I would say, is you're going to get people that are going to have comments on something, whether it is good, bad, they're going to compare it like, oh, look at that. I guess you're really inspired by blah, blah, blah. Don't take those comments personally, because really they always have to do with the perception of the other person. People are going to look at different artwork and they're going to see different things. And whether or not they're comparing your work to someone else's work, my art gets compared to other people's work all the time. They're like, oh, were you inspired by so-and-so? And a lot of times I'm like, I don't even know.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that, who are you talking about? There are times where my work gets compared to someone else's work. They're like, oh, that's totally like so-and-so. And I look at the work and I'm like, that looks nothing like mine. Really, it's something that I would definitely not take personally.
Yeah, in all honesty, I don't take it personally anymore. I used to when I guess I was less secure about my work, and that's understandable. When I was newly showing my work, I was offended by it. But I realized that humans can't help but make associations. That's part of the way that we're wired to understand things. So people tell me all the time that my singing voice sounds like Joni Mitchell, Janis Joplin. And actually, I just appreciate it now.
Yeah. Now it all depends. If they're looking at something that's like, oh, well, good job there. That just looks like another blah, 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 blah. Then at that point, you could, the finger between the ring finger, flip them the churd.
The churd?
Yeah.
Or you could be like, your face looks like blah, 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 blah.
What if they're like, oh, your artwork reminds me of a Picasso. Well, your face reminds me of a Picasso.
Burr!
If they're giving you a compliment, because that's really the only way that they know how to give you a compliment, is to talk about some of the like old masters or like a very popular artist and say like, oh, that's really similar to da-da-da-da-da. Then just say thank you. I love putting my own spin on it the way that Clee described earlier. But if they're being a douchebag, then, just who cares?
Yeah, it is all in the context.
As far as beginning your art career and like getting out there, this is definitely one of those things, one of those trials and tribulations that we run into as an artist. And really the context of it does matter. But what matters most is the way that you take it and the way that you decide to respond to it. A lot of times the knee-jerk response or reaction is to get offended or get upset or feel bad about yourself and what you created based on some comment that someone else made, when you could totally take that and turn it into whatever context you want. You could either make it something that's empowering to you and like, yeah, well, thank you. Even if they mean it in a negative way, you could be like, thanks,
Or do like you do and say thanks before they even finish saying what they're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, so you were inspired.
Thanks. No, well, I was just, thanks. And you just keep repeating.
Thank you so much.
And then at one point they think you're crazy and they just walk away. So, and if they meant it as a compliment, they'll be like, oh, well, you're welcome.
Yeah. And then they'll be like, that Rafi, he's inspired by crazy. And then he'll be like, thank you.
I am inspired by crazy. I like how you tried to ignore that one.
Yeah, thank you. And if your work is inspired by something, someone, whatever, that's totally normal and nothing to be upset about.
Yep. Absolutely.
Thank you, Kate and Sarah, for this very good question.
Thank you, guys. You guys are awesome.
Yeah. We hope that we answered it in an inspiring manner.
Were we inspiring?
Were we inspired by?
Inspired by...
The letters R and K and the number 2.
I'm curious, you guys, just leave in the comment section, like, any time where you've had to deal with somebody that's like, oh, that work looks like... blah, 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 blah. And then, how it was that you dealt with it, whether or not you dealt with it in a good way, in an empowering way, or you dealt with it in a negative way. Just leave those stories in the comment section below. We'll love to hear them.
Or whether you went, full on sandworm about it.
Yeah, like... And if any of you guys have any questions for us, just go to RafiandClee.com and there is a For Artists section. And if you go in there, there's a button that says Ask Us a Question or Do You Have a Question?
It looks like this.
Yes, it looks like. And thank you so much for watching, you guys. You guys are absolutely freaking amazing. I totally adore you. And if you like this and you want to watch more like this, just click right over here to subscribe. And that's it. Say goodbye, Clee.
Good day.
Adios.